All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer, and this is Strength and Balance, Yoga for Strength and Balance. And I just got to check in and see several of you. I do love the Zoom format, even though I don't get to see you in the room. Right now I'm looking at chairs with bolsters and their covers that have just been washed. So I don't get to see you, but to see your faces before and after class, it means the world. It just is. These classes, it's so awkward to teach to an empty room. Getting a little bit more used to it, but it's something that's letting me know what day it is, and it's helping me to still feel connected to community. So I really hope that that's helping others with that too, just having some sense of routine. And when we are having so much uncertainty, routine can really kind of help and be settling. And also to stay connected with community, that we still feel supported, seen and heard. And so if you have questions during class, whether you're on Zoom or whether you're on Facebook, please feel free to message me, get a hold of the studio, requests for class, because we love to be on the same page. I'm going to go ahead and get started right now. And you could either close your eyes or soften your gaze. Let's take a moment to check in. And I know we do this again and again, but I really feel that this is one of our life skills that we're practicing, is this present moment awareness. And how are you checking in with yourself? Meaning, could you do so with affection and a sincere care, like you would for a loved one? Do you feel an echo from the week's events? And this might show up as sensation in your body. Maybe you have a sense of your nervous system state or the quality of your mental broadcast. And there's no wrong answer. Wherever you are on the spectrum as you check in, we're practicing present moment awareness. Allow your exhales to run their course all the way to the end. You don't have to force it. The exhale is a literal letting go. So see if you could let it go all the way to the end. Receive your inhales naturally. Since your exhale promotes the more calming response in your nervous system, you might actually be able to feel that in your body a bit. With each exhale, as you let it go all the way to the end, see if you might surrender to gravity a degree or two more. Like your seat could get a little heavier on whatever it is that you're sitting on. Let your shoulders melt away from your ears a bit. Relax your jaw, your forehead. And this sounds strange if you haven't heard it before, but even the roof of your mouth, your palate, might be able to soften slightly. We keep coming back to those three things: complete exhales, grounding, where are you connected? Where's your foundation? And relax the muscles of your face. Those are just simple, calming cues to your physiology. There's not an emergency occurring right now. And as you join your hands at your heart, set an intention. So we calm our nervous system, or attempt to first. That creates a more learnable brain state if we're not in a stress response. What attitude or perspective would you like to practice right now? What would be supportive right now? And it might be patience or acceptance. It could be courage or humor. What would help support your vitality right now? could bow your head to your heart, your intention. Release your hands. And take your time to lie down on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor. Now, I know people like Jane at home that aren't local might not have a TheraBand like this. Local people have been getting the resistance bands. If you don't have one and you want one, let us know. Valerie or I could do delivery for local folks, or you could message me. I could mail you one if it's not for too many people far away. Okay, so you're gonna lie down, have the band nearby. If you don't have a yoga block, you don't need one of those either. If you do have a block or something that could substitute as a block, like maybe even a roll of toilet paper, if you have any of that, it could go in between your knees. And give the block a little squeeze. Just feel what grounding feels like now. You just shifted your relationship to gravity. Interlace your hands back behind your head. And so I refer to these points, your hip crest bones as the top front of your pelvic bowl. And as you squeeze the block, you could just ever so slightly draw your hip crest points towards your belly, just slightly, and see what you feel. Now hover your head about an inch or so off of the floor. And with your next exhale, draw your front lower ribs down towards your spine, down towards the floor to lift your head and shoulders up. Inhale, lower down thoughtfully with control. Exhale, draw your front lower ribs down towards your spine to lift your head and shoulders up like a seesaw. Inhale, lower down. Trace your breathing. And so there's a couple reasons why I'm instructing by cueing from your rib cage. One is that by bringing your awareness to the movement of your rib cage, you're bringing your awareness into your body in the present moment. But where you put your awareness, our body tends to respond. Does it feel any different to initiate this movement by drawing front lower ribs, hip crest bones towards each other rather than leading from your chin? Now you could continue this, you could rest anytime, please rest when you need. But we work with progression, so you could start here, or if you want to add, you could lift your knees right up over your hips, hug the block. Okay. Exhale, same sit-ups, but now your knees, you're having to hold that in place too. So you just added a little bit more load to your core. Rest when you need to. If you want to challenge, you could come up and hold your yoga sit-up. When you're ready to release, do so slowly without losing that integration in your midline. Could you keep a quality of steadiness without letting your rib cage pop up a whole lot? And even as you lower your feet, without letting your pelvic bowl flop forward. And then once you're done, have a rest. So to release tension and to get stronger, that's kind of what we're focusing on today, is strength and suppleness. So the idea is to get a muscle to get stronger. If it's tight, it has to be able to relax and release tension to move through its full function. Okay. Or to be able to relax, it helps to use a muscle to get it to relax. So suppleness and strength goes hand in hand. Set the yoga block aside, interlace your hands back behind your head, and again, hover your head about this off the floor an inch or so, and you could lift your knees. Now without the block, we're gonna do a little cross crawl action. So as you draw your hip crest bones, front lower ribs just slightly towards each other, with your next exhale, draw your right elbow and your left knee towards each other as you extend your right leg actively forward. Inhale back to center. Exhale, left elbow, right knee. Hug in as you extend your left leg. Inhale back to center. Now, if anything doesn't feel right or hurts, please discontinue use. Rest when you need to, add challenge if you like. For this exercise, it's opposite elbow and knee hug in as you extend your other leg forward actively. If you want a challenge, you could come up and hold it on one side. Continue to breathe. Exhales help you to inhale. You could try to switch sides, try it on the other side. When you're done, release and really feel, oh, that shift from effort to letting go of effort. roll onto your, well, here's the option. You do have an option for the band. Some of you might even have the other TheraBand that we use for clamshells. If you want to use the TheraBand for your clamshells, you're going to tie it around your thigh bones above your knees, and you're going to cinch it in pretty tight and tie a bow. Okay, so you have a little resistance to press out into. I'm not going to use the band for the clamshells right now. So it's your choice. You're going to lie on your right side, resistance band or no resistance band. Roll forward, so if you could kind of point your belly button towards the floor in front of you. There's a sense you're kind of rolling forward. Press your feet into each other and lift your top knee away from your bottom knee. And then again, like your sit-up, place it down with control without collapsing. Lift and lower. Now, there's a couple tendencies. Our bodies are brilliant. And when we look at a movement, our body will tend to find the path of least resistance, which is really incredibly intelligent. But we're using our awareness to create some resistance to get more specific about what muscle groups we're using. So if you're finding that you're leaning back, that's a great strategy. Or using momentum, and that's nothing wrong with that, but see if you could slow it down and only lift your knee as high as you can without leaning back. So if you're watching your knees, they're staying even, meaning your top knee isn't starting to look shorter than your bottom knee. And you could lift your knee partway, hold it. If you're pressing out into a band or not, you're probably working. And now little mini presses out into the air or out into the band. Notice where there's effort, there's tone, there's holding. And then when you're done, release that effort and tune in to the transition to resting. And you could try the other side. So other side, lie down, give yourself a pillow or whatever you need. And stack your hips, stack your knees. And there's a tendency to kind of, you can wake up your outer hip. There's a tendency to want to reach back and feel where the muscles are engaging. That can be useful. Sometimes I bring awareness to that area. Otherwise, I'd say bring your hand in front so you're not leaning back. Press your feet into each other to lift your top knee away from your bottom knee and place it down gently, or don't even place it down all the way at all. Let it just kind of lightly touch and lift up. Now pay attention to where you feel this effort occurring. And we're trying to target outer hip and glutes, but it's likely, I mean, you might feel it elsewhere too. That would be normal. And you could always experiment with where your knees go. Bring them down or bring them up and see if that makes a difference. Now that's kind of the theme of class today, is strength and suppleness. In the weekly, they were talking about getting through this stronger. And to confess, I haven't read the whole article. But one way we get stronger is actually by being supple. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Lift your top knee partway. Little presses out into the air or out into the band. Where is that effort occurring? Be fascinated by that sensation and also your quality of effort. And then really tune in to this transition from effort to letting that effort melt away. Sensation, but also if there's a sense of relief. And you could take your time to press up to tabletop pose. Hands and knees. So remember, you don't have to match my pacing or my cues. One of your challenges and part of your practice is making this work for you as best as you can. You're going to have your band nearby, if you're using one, and a yoga block nearby. Lengthen through the back of your spine, as if your tail and the base of your skull could reach away from each other. With that length, exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Inhale, lift your sternum, your chest forward and up, cow pose, little back bend. Exhale to round your spine. Inhale, opposite action. Can you keep a quality of length through your whole spine, even the back of your neck, as you go through this movement? And with the yoga sit-ups we did earlier, just notice what's happening with your midline. Exhale, front lower ribs, hip crest bones draw towards each other and up towards your spine. Inhale, those points move away. And by the action and resistance or the cue to lengthen through your spine, one of the hopes is it doesn't feel like you just collapse and lose tone. Like there's a sense of tone as you go through this movement. If you don't know what I'm talking about, doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. You could finish with a rounded spine. Come back to table. Tuck your toes. Notice grounding. Where are you making contact? Where's the pressure? And how does that shift as you now hover your knees over the mat, about an inch or so? Exhales help you to inhale. Press into the places you feel the pressure between you and the floor as you lengthen through the back of your spine. Take your hips up and back, downward facing dog. First down dog of class, explore with some movement. Bend one knee at a time. As you extend your other heel towards the floor. And also notice if it makes a difference how much you press into the mat. Does that change sensation or your experience? Get steady in your down dog. Press into the balls of your feet towards the back of the mat. As you exhale slowly forward to table or plank. What's happening with front lower ribs, hip crest bones? Could they draw towards each other a little bit? Whether you're in table or plank, either one, try rocking side to side slightly and just feel how your body responds, or maybe how your opinions respond. Touch down with your knees, lower all the way down to your belly. Reach your toes towards the back of your mat pretty actively. As again, you lengthen forward through the back of your spine. I'm saying that specifically. It may or may not translate in your body. Okay, so whatever your experience is, it's correct. As you reach your toes back, start to pull your hands back, like you're gonna slide yourself forward. Lengthen through the back of your neck, but even though you're lengthening through the back of your neck, as you pull your hands back, could you lift your sternum, your chest? Cobra pose. Exhale, lower down, like you're gonna make your whole body longer. Inhale, reach your toes back, pull your hands back. Maybe the movement's really small. Maybe you barely lift up. That could still be really deep work. You're working with postural muscles and spine mobility. Maybe you feel like coming higher up. So this is where your practice, kind of the rubber hits the road. What's sustainable right now for you? And you could find that place, and if you're up for it, hold cobra. Reach your toes back, pull your hands back, reach your heart forward. Are you breathing? As you maintain this action and resistance, like you're reaching in both directions, could you lessen the weight in your hands? Maybe just a little bit. Maybe you find they could hover, and if that's the case, you could sweep your arms back behind you, reach back through your toes, see what it's like to lift your feet. Now, if a part of your body kind of speaks to you loudly, you want to listen to that. But as you reach your toes back, heart forward, rise up. This is locust pose. Exhale, lower down like you're going to make your whole body longer. So you're not collapsing. Inhale, rise up, toes back, heart forward, draw your shoulder blades towards each other. Exhale, lower down. And the next time you come up, hold locust pose. Continue to breathe. Notice what your breath is like. It's probably a little different than, say, in down dog or child's pose. And when you're done, make a pillow for your forehead and rest. Let that effort melt away. Let your body breathe you without influencing it if you can. And just feel how your body is doing so many things to bring things back to balance for you without you having to direct it. Press back to child's pose. Any version of child's pose that's the most comfortable. Remember your intention. Even just remembering your intention is significant, and you can take a big breath into the back of your body. And come back up to table. I'm going to take this off because I know we're going to get a little warmer. Now for time's sake, we're going to go right into the version of this that has the block and the band. You don't actually need the block and the band to do this. Okay? The block is for in between your knees or right above your knees. Toilet paper rolls don't work quite as good, but what can work is a thick rolled up blanket. You want your thigh bones to be about hip width apart. And you're going to take your band. If you don't have a band, you can do this without a band. I guarantee you'll still be working your core. The band, you want to be able to have one arm straight out in front of you and the other arm goes straight out to the side. That's the action we're looking for, is this. Without it being super hard. Okay, that's always my impression of the TheraBand being too hard. So we don't want that. Okay, you want it, the band is really for more muscular feedback. It's going to add strengthening for your shoulders and all of that, but if you don't have one, it's not necessary. The next thing with the band that's kind of tricky is you might hear this sound, okay, if it snaps, or if you let go of part of it. I like to wrap it in my hand, so I put it in my thumb, wrap my hands around like this, so I don't have to grip the band so much, but you have to negotiate, okay, where is that place where I have the right amount of length on your TheraBand if you're using one. And you come back down to tabletop, give the block a hug, ground down through your hands as you lengthen through the back of your spine. Notice hip, crest bones, front, lower ribs. You maybe don't even have to do anything, but keep a quality of steadiness. As you press into your left hand a lot, hug the block, take your right arm slowly right out to the right, and I'm going to mention right away, notice your wrist. For most people, your wrist will be doing this kind of a thing. You're going to want to bring your fist into alignment, out. And we're going to work with just this side for a few times. Exhale, slowly lower, inhale, out. Exhale, slowly lower. Could you keep the length to your spine? Hug the block as support. If you're not using the band, I guarantee you're still using core and shoulder stabilizers. One or two more. Let that side go. Could press back towards child's pose, or maybe reach up, give your wrists a little break. Just have a little rest of movement in between sides. And then we'll meet on the other side. Give the block a hug. Press down through your hands so your shoulders aren't collapsing. You're kind of lifting up, lengthen through your spine. And with all that on board, try to stay steady without leaning or collapsing. As you take your left arm straight out to the left, bring your wrist into alignment, go rather slow. Inhale out, exhale down. Inhale out, exhale down. How steady can you be in the midst of this challenge without leaning or collapsing through your midline? Where's your head? Could the back of your neck be a nice continuation of the rest of your spine? If you feel like you're losing integrity, to let it go. But if it feels like you're maintaining integrity, but it's hard, you might try one or two more. When you're done, a little wiggle. Press down through your hands. Give the block a hug. Tuck your toes. Hover your knees about 1 inch off the mat. Exhales help you to inhale. Take your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now I'm having to adjust the band because I'm slipping on it. I know it's weird if you're using the block, but even now, you can give it a little hug as you reach your hips way back. Press your feet towards the back of your mat. Where are front, lower ribs, hip, crest bones? Could you keep a quality of steadiness as you exhale, slowly come forward to plank or touch down with your knees, table. Try that a couple more times. Inhale, up and back, downward dog. Exhale, slowly forward. Remember, empathetic joy is always an option. If some exercise is inappropriate for you, you could be happy
for the other people on Zoom that might be doing the exercise, or maybe they're sitting out with you.
Grown-ups can use more empathetic joy.
Next time you come back to downward dog, stay there. And you're gonna touch down with your knees. Set the block aside to come up, back to down dog and step forward, Uttanasana. If that's awkward, you just come down to table. We'll meet in this forward fold. Press down through your feet. Inhale, long spine lengthen forward. Exhale completely to bow. What's your exhale like here, opposed to cobra pose? Try that one more time. Do you have your band nearby? Take your TheraBand if you have one. You don't need one. You could use a belt. Okay. Press down through your feet. Start to sit back as you pull your hands away from each other on the band. Chair pose. Press down through your feet, all four corners. And press down to come all the way up. So here, could use the block. Again, you don't need it. It's for in between. So remember, we started with clamshells, outer hips. All the hugging of the block, you're strengthening inner hips, inner thighs, these muscles that kind of draw towards the midline, but also hopefully pelvic floor and some low core. Now for this, you don't need a stretchy band. You could use a belt, like a belt to a bathrobe, or a long sleeve shirt that's maybe stretchy. You're gonna hold a little wider than shoulder width where you could pull your hands away from each other. Hug the block if you're using one, press down through your feet. Lengthen up through the back of your spine. My hope is that back here gets a little length too. Could you keep steady as you inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, lower. As you pull out on the band or the belt or whatever it is that you're using. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Next time you come up overhead, stay there. Press down through your feet. So we're really using action and resistance, meaning there's two opposing forces, meaning press down through your feet and at the same time lift up through your torso, up and over to the left. What happened to grounding? Up pressure beneath your feet. Could you press down through both feet as you reach up and away from there? Notice what happens to grounding as you go up and over to the right. How does pressure shift? Could you press down through all four corners of both feet as you reach up and away? All the way up. Exhale, press down through your feet, maybe even a little knit in of front lower ribs might draw back towards your spine slightly. Inhale, lift your sternum, your chest, up and back. Do that a couple more times. Exhale, press down through your feet, a little knit of your ribs. Inhale, lift your sternum, your chest, up and back. One more time. Exhale, press down. Inhale, lift up and back. Come all the way up. Lower your arms slowly as you tune into sensation, temperature, maybe the feeling of letting go or relief. And have a moment of rest. No need to influence your breathing. Set the block aside. So here we're going to come right into our squats, because this has so much to do with hip strength, mobility, and also pelvic floor strength. So I mentioned this at the beginning of class, and the article in the weekly, like I haven't read the whole thing, but the title of the article was How to Get Through This Stronger, how to get through this COVID-19 thing stronger. And I love that concept, but I also realize it's a time we're going to feel perhaps more vulnerable and our resilience goes down. So what we're working is, how do we release tension while getting stronger? And actually those things go hand in hand. So with your stance and your toes kind of pointing out towards the corners of the room, we're going to talk about pelvic floor. And if you squeeze your heels towards each other, see if you feel some tone in your butt back here. So sit bones is what we're talking about. Many of you already guessed that. Okay. Sit bones are the bones that you sit on, the base of your pelvis, And your hamstrings, these big muscles in the back of your thighs, connect to your sit bones, and so does pelvic floor. So by bringing awareness to sit bones, we're hoping those muscles might get more engaged, okay? So here, on your inhale, you're gonna squat down, like you're gonna squat down to lift something up, and your knees point out towards your toes, and reach them out towards your little toes, and you're gonna sit back, your torso will lean forward. It's like a weightless squat. Exhale, press down to come up. Inhale, come on down. How much mobility depends on how your body's feeling. Okay. You might just come down a little bit, hold it, and then let it go. So it's really make it work for you. But now get curious again about sit bones. Are they moving at all? And the answer might be, I don't know what the heck, I've never even thought of my sit bones before. That would be a very normal response. See if you might feel a little broadness as you come down and a little narrowing as you come up. This is a perfect example. When you inhale, come down, pelvic floor is relaxing a bit, exhale, a bit of tone. So see if you could use your imagination, like you could initiate the movement from your sit bones. If this is like weird, don't worry about it. Inhale, sit bones relax apart. Exhale, sit bones hug towards each other to come up. Try that 2 more times like that. Take a little break. See how things are feeling. Now, did that make any difference in your experience to think of initiating from those bony landmarks? It may or may not have, but you were paying attention in your body. Okay, we're gonna do that 1 more time. You could add a band, or you could pull your hands away from each other on a belt if you like. It just closes a kinetic chain. Toes point out, okay. Check, okay, squatting, right? So for your inhale, you pull your hands away from each other. Inhale, squat down, arms come up. Exhale, press down to come up. This is an option. You don't have to add this in. Next time you come down, stay there, and we're going to work with hamstrings a bit. Lift your right heel. Reach your right heel back like you're going to make it longer, like you're going to make your foot longer. Let your heel barely skim the mat. Press down, come up. Ooh-wee. Inhale, come on down. Lift your left heel, almost like you could slide your left foot back. Reach your heel back, back, back. Did you feel the back of your thigh, your arches, your calves? Press down, come up. This is a really fun part. Inhale, come on down. Lift both heels. Reach your heels back actively. Let them barely skim the mat. When you're ready, press down, come up. Now try a couple more without as much effort, just feel mobility. Step together. You tired? I'm a little tired from that. You can set the band, if you're using one, across the front of your mat. Actually, I'm going to strategize to face this way for the first time. And you might have a block at the head of your mat too. Stand Tadasana. And for a moment, let mountain pose be a resting pose. Where you could again tune into the echo that's occurring through your physiology. Join your hands at your heart. Press down through your feet. Inhale, reach up. Lean back. Exhale the forward fold all the way down. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward. Take a great big step back with your left foot. Okay? And you're going to have your right foot on the band. I'm going to put it under my heel because I'm really grounded in my heel. Okay, so here you are in this lunge. Check that your feet are hip width apart. Now, take your right thumb to your right hip crease and encourage your right hip to roll back as you lengthen forward through the back of your spine. Press down into your heel. Do you feel some engagement maybe in your hip? Could you keep your hip steadfast as you turn your left heel down to the mat without letting it sashay back behind you? And now bring your right forearm to your thigh, right above your knee. You're gonna press down. So if you have your shin straight up and down, you have the nice bony structure. It's like a pillar of support. Press down as you reach your left arm out in front of you. Now again, without sashaying your hips, slowly turn your torso open to the left. Extended side angle. Exhale, rotate down your chest to face the floor. Inhale, rotate open. Now, this could be done without a band, or turn to face the floor, reach down, take your band. I'm gonna suggest this is how you do it for your shoulder. Inhale, you're gonna pull the band up. So if it's your elbow, you might just work with this. Or you turn open and reach all the way up if your band is long enough. Exhale, down with control. Inhale, pull up on the band, bend your elbow, reach your elbow up, and push the band up. Try that a couple more times if you're up for it, whatever version you're doing. If you're turning your gaze with your arm, you're really working on balance, proprioception, and vestibular balance. Oh my goodness. Touch down, pivot to the ball of your back foot to step forward, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. You could have your knees bent, you could have your hands on a chair or the blocks. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward. One more bow. See what your exhale is like here if you let it run its course all the way to the end. Inhale, lengthen forward. Take a great big step back with your right foot. So first you're setting up the foundation. I'm using a band, so I'm going to have my left heel on the band. Check that your feet are hip width apart and your front shin straight up and down. As you press down into your left heel, open your knee to the left. You can take your thumb to your left hip crease to help roll your hip back. It tends to roll out to the side. Roll it back, lengthen forward through your spine. Keep that steady as you pivot your right heel down. And you can bring your left forearm to your thigh, give yourself a boost up. So you're actually using the bony structure of your shin bones and your humerus bone to support you, your upper arm bone. Reach your right arm straight out in front of you. And as you press into your left heel and keep your left hip steady, turn your torso open to the right and rotate. So we're working on, you feel clamshell muscles at all? When you rotate your torso, your left hip is having to support a lot of that. So you could work without the band, or you could reach down. And as you inhale, as you turn your torso, bend your elbow to pull the band up. Maybe this is as far as you go. And it also depends on how long your TheraBand is. If you have a long enough TheraBand and it feels okay, you could reach all the way up. Notice how your wrist could also get involved. Exhale, turn down. Inhale, open up. You might even turn your gaze. If that feels too tricky for balance, you could keep your gaze towards the floor. Slow and steady. Where's grounding? Where's the pressure between you and the floor right now? One or two more, only if you're up for it. When you're ready, you could touch down, step back to downward facing dog pose. All the way back to down dog or child's pose. Reach your hips back, 2 complete exhales all the way to the end. Exhale, forward to plank, press your feet back. What's happening with front lower ribs, hip crest bones? Lengthen through your spine. Exhales help you to inhale. could touch down with your knees. So now we're not going to have the block. You don't need a TheraBand or anything. Lengthen through the back of your spine, press the floor away from you. And notice, let's lean side to side and just feel what that's like. Where's center? You're going to try to stay steadfast without leaning, without collapsing through your midline. Tuck your right toes and slide your right leg straight back. Notice how you might want it to lean to compensate. Come back to center. Feel what your body has to do to stay centered. Press down through your right toes a little bit as you draw your hip crest bones towards your belly. So you're looking for that integration. Could you stay steady as you inhale, lightly toe touch out to the right? Exhale back to center. Inhale, toe touch right. Exhale, center. Trace your breathing. You might notice your right hand gets heavier as you take your right foot out to the right. Press into that. See if that can help. Come back to center. You can wiggle it out a little bit, child's pose, or maybe little kind of crescent shapes. Come back. Now, if this is too much on your wrist, you can do this with your forearms too. I think it's harder, but you can see what you think. It's not worth compromising your wrist. Press your forearms down so your shoulder blades lift. Okay, draw your hip crest bones towards your belly. Staying steady, slide your left foot back. And press down through your left toes a little bit. See if you could lift your low belly. Now stay steadfast. Inhale, lightly toe touch out to the left. Exhale back to center. Inhale, toe touch left. I like this version better. Exhale, center. You can see what you think. As your left hand or forearm gets heavier, press into it. And also notice your concentration. What's the quality of your concentration like right now? Come back to center, child's pose. Come back up to table and lower all the way down to your belly. Have your hands alongside your rib cage, reach your toes back, pull your hands back, curl your heart forward and up, cobra. You might stay with cobra, release at any time, or you could slowly lessen the weight in your hands, sweep your arms back, lift your toes. Now you don't have the yoga block between your legs, but you could still squeeze your legs towards each other. You could stay right here or exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, lengthen through your legs. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Trace your breathing. When you've had enough, make a pillow for your forehead. And as you have a rest and you feel, you can acknowledge that your physical body is resting. Notice your breath, your heart rate, temperature. What would it feel like if your thinking mind could also have a rest? What would it feel like if thinking mind, just for a moment, no focus, just effortlessness? Press back to child's pose. Feel a different shape. Remember your intention. You could even consider how practicing that quality or how that quality might help support your vitality, your heart. Just consider that for a moment, see how it feels. Come on up to tabletop. Press down, tuck your toes, hover your knees. Take your hips up and back, down dog. And for this down dog, take your feet wide. Bend your knees generously to take your hips way back. Lengthen through your spine, your torso. Press your feet into the mat and a little bit back behind you as you inhale. Lengthen your legs. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, lengthen.
Exhale, bend. Try not to lock your knees back. It's okay if your knees don't straighten all the way. When you're ready, step forward, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Hands could be at your shins, on blocks, on a chair. Inhale, long spine, lengthen forward. Exhale to bow. Inhale, long spine. And a bow. Press down, inhale, come all the way up. You could always add chair pose if you want. Tadasana, mountain pose, as a resting pose. For your physical body, but also imagine what it would feel like for thinking mind to have even just a moment of rest. No particular focus. In order to relax a muscle group, it helps to use it. Bring awareness, sensation, blood flow. It's moving through its more full motion range, and then it can rest more easily and release tension. This is a great metaphor, for our overall yoga practice. We're working in our physical body, but we're also concentrating. We're also practicing present moment awareness. And so then also thinking mind might be able to have a rest. And that rest portion is also very important for our strength and our resilience. And that's what I would like people to take from this COVID-19 experience. We want to get stronger, but some stuff just sucks. And that's just the truth. And we're going to feel bad. So we don't want to be disingenuous. We want to increase resilience that we could experience life fully. So let's see what our experiences or our opinions are about our hamstrings for just a moment as we start to get close to Shavasana. Okay, so here, standing, you're going to have your band. You could use a belt or something that's not stretchy if you like. Press down through your right foot firmly without locking your knees back if you can. And you can lengthen up through your torso. We're going to think here, we're going to try to keep a quality of steadiness through midline. So bring your hands to your hips. Hinge your pelvis forward to slide your left foot back. And your left toes could be on the floor. Feel free to have a wall or whatever you need nearby for balance. Press down into your right foot and bring your right fingertips to your right hip press. Draw your right hip back a little bit as you press down into your heel. You can even think of your sit bone pressing back. Could you keep that steady? So you now take your band or your belt, take your left arm straight out in front of you, and your right arm is going to pull out on the band or the belt straight out to the right. We're in a cross crawl, and you might notice if you're not collapsing into your right hip is working right now a bit. You could stay right here. This is significant. Tune into your breathing, or start to hinge forward and hover your left toes off the floor a little bit. Could you still press your right hip back? Press down to come up. Bring your toes to the floor. Just try a couple of those. Tip forward a little bit. Use the back of your right thigh to bring your toes back to the floor. Little tips. You could stay with these little tips, or you could continue forward. Oh my goodness. Press your right hip back as you lengthen forward through your spine. Hip crest bones, front lower ribs draw a little towards each other. Press down, use the back of your right leg to rise up slowly. Ooh, let it go. Let your body respond however it wants to respond. Try not to inhibit that innate intelligence of how your body wants to breathe, just like it's regulating your heart rate. You might feel sensation in your leg. Let's try the other side. So this is using physical strength, right? Those muscles that might be able to rest and release tension, but notice your concentration and balancing. Okay, so that's part of the benefit here. Press your left foot down firmly without locking your knee, if you could help it. Slide your right foot back, and as you slide back, notice my torso's tilting forward. I'm not arching my back here, trying to create a line. And as soon as I do that, my left hip wants to sashay out. You're going to draw your left hip crease back
as if you could press your left sit bone back, even though you're lengthening forward through your spine. Press your right toes down, see if you get any engagement in your tummy. And your arms out into this line, your right arm's gonna be straight out in front of you as you take your left arm straight out to the left. Front lower ribs, hip crest bones a little towards each other. Try to tip forward slightly. Your toes, your right toes could come an inch or two off the floor and then back up. Try these little tips. Oh my gosh, this is my weaker side, so I'm right with you here. Notice if one side's a little different than the other. And also notice how your body might want to compensate if your hips wanting to sashay out or do something else. And if you like, you could continue forward. Press your left sit bone back as you lengthen forward through your spine. What's happening with front lower ribs, hip crest bones? Use the back of your left thigh to rise up slowly. Have a rest. Use Tadasana to rest. Toss the band aside. Feel the echo in your body, how your body's metabolizing that event. Now also invite thinking mind to participate in that rest. You could use your imagination. We use our imagination to do things like worry. That's your imagination, your body responds, right? Now imagine what it would feel like for your thinking mind to have a moment of relief. No particular focus. A little rest. Join your hands at your heart. Press down through your feet. Inhale, reach up. You can lean back if you like. Stay connected to your footprints as you forward fold all the way down. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. Inhale, lengthen forward. Take your time to have a seat. Feet together, knees apart. You can sit up on a blanket, press your feet into each other as you do a little forward fold. It's okay for your spine to round, provided you don't have disc issues or osteoporosis. It's actually nice to have a little roundness to your spine. You can come on up and take your time to lie down on your back. And again, feel grounding. It's that shift from effort. And feel where you're making contact with the floor now. You could cross your right ankle past your left thigh bone to make a figure four. Bring your fingertips to your hip crest bones. See if you can find level, right to left, front to back, as best as you can. Flex your right foot, and as you keep your pelvis level, open your right knee forward. So you might stay right here, or you could lift your left foot. It could rest on a chair or a wall, or you could reach and hold the back of your left thigh. So one of our strategies for releasing tension in muscles, I mentioned already, is by using them. We use the muscle group. We wake it up, we get some blood flow, and then invite it to rest. And often it can help release tension. Another strategy is as you take a little shift of your figure four to the left, tune your awareness into the movement that's occurring with your breathing. Another strategy for releasing tension in muscles is putting a little tug on the muscle on the fascia connective tissue, and then the movement of your bones with your breathing. You can release that when you're ready. That gentle kind of undulation of your bones with your breath has the potential to untease sticky, tight areas in fascia. Try the other side. Your right foot could stay on the floor, or you could lift it up. Please make it work for you the best you can. You could flex your left foot, open your left knee towards the front of your mat a little bit. And tune in. This is also, notice, a mindfulness tool. Bring your attention to how your bones are moving with your breathing. They're moving at all. Maybe they're not. Does that movement, if it's occurring, affect sensation?
And what if you take a little rock over to the right? And you could release that side. When you're ready, you could always hold the pose longer. Take time, any movement before Shavasana. And so here, you take your time, you're at home, so set yourself up to be warm enough and comfortable. I'm getting what I need. And so that article really, the title of the article had me thinking, because I don't know about you all, but it's hard not to fall into some comparison. So here I am teaching online, but I've spent a lot of time feeling somewhat inadequate or insecure about my teaching online skills, how to use technology. If you know me, I'm kind of a tech phobe. I've avoided it, and so now I'm forced into it. So we're gonna feel like resilience goes down. One way we could be stronger is also being okay to try new things and for it to suck, for it to feel like it sucks or we're not good at it. That's okay. Like all those what feel like failures, we're going to be trying a lot of new things right now, and it takes a lot of courage, and it also takes acknowledging our emotions without dismissing them. So our metaphor is in our physical yoga practice, we do the best with what we have. We might have moments of disappointment or noticing, oh, I'd like to do this, but I can't right now. Like, hopefully it's more neutral than what we experience in the rest of our life. But you do the best with what you can, and then you rest. There's a practice of acceptance or surrender, and that's Shavasana. So as you settle in, see if we might even feel this connection between suppleness and strength, or strength and suppleness. Curl your hands in, make fists. Curl your toes, kind of scrunch up your face, hug in so you feel some tone and tension in your body. And now really pay attention to what it feels like to let that tension melt away, to release and surrender to gravity. You don't have to adjust your breathing at all. Let your body breathe you. Although it might be subtle, could each exhale invite a little bit more letting go, as if your muscles could soften their grip on your bones, and you could rest even heavier towards the earth. Relax your jaw and your forehead, and even your palate, the roof of your mouth, might be able to slightly soften, maybe. Your physical body was working, but you also kept your curiosity coming back. What would it feel like if thinking mind could also soften its grip? Soften the edges and relax. Surrender aside distractions, planning, problem solving, just for a little while. Nothing's happening anyway right now, even if you think about it. As best as you can, practice rest right now. Just rest.
Bring your awareness back to grounding, where you're being held and supported, where you're making contact. Begin to notice, again, your inner landscape, a curiosity about how you're feeling. It might be physically in your body. You have a sense of your nervous system state, the body gestalt, thinking mind, emotional body. It's a genuine, sincere check-in. Think of that as part of your practice, to check in with sincerity, a real care. We're practicing to acknowledge how we're feeling is valid of paying attention to. And also attending to. So according to how you're feeling, could bring movement back. Maybe just deepen your breathing. It might be really subtle, fingers and toes, or a dynamic stretch. Just see what feels natural to you. Take your time. Eventually, you'll make your way up to a seat if you want to. Once you're seated, you could have your eyes closed or you could have a soft gaze. Just another moment to sincerely check in. I think of this actually as one of our more profound life skills. Through the course of your day, these check-in moments, it's like taking inventory. How are you feeling? What resources are available? Is your nervous system running fast? Do you feel rather grounded? Just this check-in moment. And also an acknowledgement, a validation. And then you could join your hands to your heart. Once we get a little feedback, like if we're feeling stressed, we have some tools in our toolkit to help ground. Exhales, relaxing the jaw. If we notice an unfriendly narrative, we have our intention to remedy that. I'm practicing being patient with myself today. So we have these little remedies that are ways to, they're coping mechanisms that don't add to the deficit. Hopefully these yoga coping mechanisms add to our vitality or support our vitality. So acknowledge your practice and your efforts. Thank you all so very much. Namaste. Thank you all so